Hi, it's Tantra. I'm in Fairhaven, New York. You can see if I gently raise the. I am at a. I'm at a inlet that feeds out into Lake Ontario. I want to have a conversation with you. Many years ago, before I had this over a half a century of being in the gift of human consciousness, I once used to say that when human beings realize that they are not evil, but that evil might be upon us, not generated by human being, but generated by broken matrices that were broken, that once held paradise here. It is my opinion, that except for a few stragglers, that beings in various modalities that interrupted, just like the intrusion of a plant that doesn't belong in another part of the earth, it can destroy everything in its path, not by intent, but by its design. I was in an amazing conversation with an amazing man. His name's Bent, and I loved what he said. But for me to have this conversation with you, we have to have a little bit of a mythic thinking. Um, I want to try to go through some things. You know, I don't think I was able to go through some things. And you might say, here's some wind. The wind is cropping up behind me. But I don't think we have been able to language certain things or be present to certain things until now. We've been like children scared of the dark, scared of the boogeyman, scared of what's under our bed, because we remember that there are those things, and but something's cracking through. Like Leonard Cohen said, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets through. But Bent was talking to me about the mechanized mind, how we've been mechanized to think. It was just so straightforward. I talk about it a lot, but I think my language is a little bit more elusive because I have a large part of my mind that's no longer mechanized. And parts of it still are, but I can observe it. I can tell what's mechanized because I know I wouldn't think that if I was in my right mind. I know I wouldn't feel that if there wasn't a programming that was generating a dysfunction of consciousness that had me, well, be afraid of my own life, be afraid of people, be afraid of the future, have opinions about people that may not have, of course, now the sun comes out, that may not be real, but I can't think beyond it. This whole thing about the they that is creating viruses to destroy part of humanity, that's mechanized. It's a mechanized thinking that there are human beings that are out to get us. But the strange thing is we can't think beyond it. It's even the Christian God's been mechanized, not by human beings, but by what we got born into. It was here when we got here. And it's become weaponized. In other words, it's been given a way to destroy human beings, and destroy human beings as part of an essential aspect of creation here. And there's no sense me even having this conversation if there wasn't something breaking free, if we weren't breaking free of it. And there is a we. It's whoever the we are. And it isn't we that will be different from the others. Human beings are a one soul species. We belong to each other. We're empathic. We carry a symbiotic connection to one another. We're beautiful. And what is it, do you think, that is so interested in destroying us? I don't think it's us. I'm sure it's not. Because when we return to our intimacy with each other, we return with our intimacy with ourselves, when we return to the intimacy of that which created us, um, it's all about loving life and loving each other and loving ourselves and enjoying existence. And so it's not too hard once you break loose a bit. It's not too hard to figure out that something's weaponized your mind against you, against others, against life. And like I said, there was no sense me bringing it up. And I knew this day was coming. A lot of people know I knew. I knew this time was coming. It's why the Language of Consciousness Institute was created. It's why I continue to work. I could go off in the sunset if I wanted to, because this was the time I was born for. I was born to be part of this collaboration. This collaboration with each other, collaboration with ourselves, and collaboration with the greater powers and forces of creation that'll not have it. You could say that the GODs, the generating, organizing designs of creation, regardless of your belief system, you can call it God, Allah, Source, Spirit, but they are generating designs of creation of which human beings were part of their creation. And that because we were beautiful, just like trees are beautiful, and the sky is beautiful, and the water is beautiful, and we were beautiful creatures created to enjoy a paradise in a limited fashion. And that means not forever. And maybe it once was. I don't know. I don't have that answer. But one of the weaponizations is the part of the mind that's always looking for what's wrong with me, what's wrong with my life, what's wrong with the world. And after a while, that's all a human being can see. And they didn't do that to themselves. I promise you. I've been fascinated. I have this little, I call it the resentment glitch. And I've been having this resentment glitch come up, which is really weird. In the face of, I love my life. I love the people that are in my life. I love my existence. I love right now. But it almost, you can see the weaponization of it, because the minute you get excited and turned on and enlivened and thrilled and excited about being alive again and free from the mechanism of no, look this way, no, look that way, no, find the truth, no, find what's wrong with you, no, fix this, no, see who's out to get you, no, look at everything bad happening in the world, and which is probably about 1% of everything that's happening in the world, by the way. And no, look here, look there, look here, look there, look here, look there. You don't think that's mechanization? You don't think when you look at the news you're told what to think? You don't think so? So this obsession for looking for the truth, as if the truth is stagnant, as if there's this permanent law that keeps us mechanized to only believe in one thing, to only be part of one thing. And then there are these times where, like the sun starts to come out from beyond the clouds, and I knew this time was coming. Some human beings' minds are no longer caught in the mechanization. They're no longer being weaponized. That's my interest. That's my interest. How have you ever been able to talk somebody into something that you know will benefit them and know will make them happier, and they just can't hear you? It's not because they're poor people who don't have their wits about them. It's because their mind's still mechanized. And you think you need to change their mind is also part of the mechanization. To thine own self be true. Know thyself. That is the pathway that starts to have that mechanized mind that can be weaponized against ourselves, weaponized against others, and weaponized against life itself. Can't exist. It can't exist in know thyself. To thine own self be true. Then one must discover the self. So the creation templates I was given over 40 years ago, they are the restoration of the self, the language of consciousness, because the language of consciousness is the resurrection of self in the psyche of human beings. It's fabulous. They're fabulous little tools of restoration. However, right now I want to use them on behalf of all life. I've asked a group of people, you're welcome to come if you like. It's somewhere on my website under the LOC Institute, or it's on the LOC Institute page. You can find it if you're really interested. But human beings used to really know they were part of the greater whole of which they are a part. They had the mind of it. They had the mind of being one with creation. And I just never lost that mind. It doesn't mean I didn't have to fight my own incarceration, mentally, emotionally, even physically. But somehow I made it through the worst of it, where people lose touch with they are part of the mind of creation, and that they have a direct relationship with the beings and elementals and powers and forces of creation that operate on behalf of life here. And I can promise you, those beings, those elements, those alchemies, those energies, they've been working to restore this earth a long time. And every time a cycle would go through, more human beings would be born that were not mesmerized into mechanized thinking, weren't weaponized against each other, against themselves, and against life. More and more. So here we are. I'm 76 years old this year, just had my birthday, and have known about this time since I was probably 40. Yeah, 40, I would say I got really clear about the path I was operating within. There are lots of paths. Look out there, lots of great stuff going on, stuff on Gaia, stuff that people like Matthias, Sandra, lots of people, not people that are restoring their mind and no longer caught in that mechanization that weaponizes them against life and against themselves and against each other. So over the next 2 months, September, October, maybe into November, I don't know that yet, we have a Mercury retrograde coming between September 9th, I think, and October 10th. I think that's right. I know October 10th when it's over. But these are times where when you're in a retrograde, it's a very powerful time to harness chaos. And so imagine that you're a plant, and that you're a healthy plant that's original nature of the environment you're in, and that you're starting to grow again. And that the invasive species recognizes that in some manner. And it's a little bit like a war, gathers its resources to not have you grow again. That's kind of September, October, into November. It's one of those moments. I don't have time to do the whole technology of it, but I promise you, people around me, people have been through things with me, operating on behalf of life, as at the higher order level, where we are moving with the powers and forces of creation, where we are restoring the matrices within which paradise can once again rise here. We're operative. And we've still got all the dysfunction, and we still got the mechanization, and we still find ourselves weaponized from time to time. So for me, I just thought I'd, let it all hang out and just let you know. Because who knows? Who knows? You might be out there listening, and it might be you that's been, listening for this beacon of this message, and you might know that you're one of those immortal natures that became mortal on behalf of uh, protecting this period of time, gathering that the alchemy of consciousness, the alchemy of the shared field where we come together like Jedi's or the women in Wonder Woman. We come together on behalf of life, and we do a body of work together simply on behalf of creation. One of the other mechanized things is now getting. See what happens when these moments happen, where the code, the incarceration starts to crack. It's energetic. So the magnetic force of trying to pull it back together, it's like being a suction cup against a wall. You gotta pull and pull and pull, and then when it cracks, you have to build and build and build and build so it can't come back together. And that's the next couple of months, maybe a little further. Won't know. So that's what we used to do. The same way, if you ever watch Wonder Woman, that they could hear that a force was coming, and they gathered to make sure that their paradise stayed intact and wasn't disrupted by that which goes against life, that which mechanizes humanity against itself, and then weaponizes it to destroy itself. So already in this conversation, you might be saying to yourself, oh my God, woe is me. Human beings are being destroyed by this mechanized, weaponized mind. But you got that going on. I can't do nothing about it. But I do know there are people out there now. I know because from time to time they visit the field of Tantra Mat and they participate, and they aren't in the dogma of me or the discipline of me or the learning of me. We gather. We gather periodically on behalf of life, regardless of what our individual interests are or what we're doing in our own column, in our own nature of our experience, in our own doings. It used to be that in the natives, they would come from all over the place. They'd travel miles. We only have to get on a Zoom link. They travel miles to gather to keep the relational field of human being and the paradise of which they were a part intact. So I'm not here to help you. There's plenty of help out there. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled because I was shown that by the time I was 76, 77, that I would really be able to work with, rebuilding these matrices within which paradise can rise in the ethers, in the collective energy of gathering time, gathering human beings that operated in higher ordering of consciousness. And we would just gather periodically, not all the time, but gather periodically on behalf of, we will all be needed. And that's true, by the way. Between now and 2027, there will be gathering times. I'm just doing one of the gathering times. There have been other gathering times in the past year or two where humanity comes together and constructs, pays attention in a certain way, so that which goes against life will lose its hold here. That which mechanizes the humans against themselves, against each other, and even against life, that mechanization can be broken. And that I do believe we don't want to be weaponized anymore. I do believe that even though it's being largely advertised, who has been weaponized and how they are being used against each other and against life. I don't think that's the main body of humanity. I just think that's a mechanization that's being used as part of the greater machine, as Bent called it. Bent called it the machine, and it reminded me of the Matrix. And I liked what he said. I liked how he put it together. Um, it isn't like we have to go find the machine. Machine simply means something that operates automatically. It's mechanized. And it doesn't have a soul, it doesn't have a heart. And it creates structures and systems to keep itself alive with no interest in that which it is using to keep alive, like in the Matrix. Love you. It starts Monday, those of us that are gathering, 7 weeks. It's interesting, I got a note about how busy somebody was. They didn't know if they could do it. And that's okay. That's just not who I'm looking for. It's the people that can remember that we had a say, that we had the capacity, like the women in Wonder Woman, like the Jedi Knights, that we could be busy about whatever we were busy about, tending to whatever we were tending to, but we knew when to drop the shovel. We knew when to not have the coffee get finished being made. We knew when to put down our to-do list. We knew when we needed to gather in a moment in time to operate on behalf of the whole. And this is one of those times. We've had a few of them this last year, and there will be more. Namaste, my beloveds. Namaste.